Welcome back to another episode of electrostatics. In the last class we have learned about Gauss theorem and also its proof. Today we will learn more about Gauss theorem and also its applications. So before discussing the different applications of Gauss theorem, we should know how the charges are distributed on a conductor. So far we were discussing about the charges which are in space, and these were called point charges because the distance between two charges was very large when compared to the size of the charge. Now next is a case where these charges are distributed over a surface. So these charges could be distributed over a line of wire or a length of wire. It could be over a sheet of conductor, or it could be in a volume. In all these cases, the charge distribution will be uniform. So for example, you consider the case where the charges are distributed over a length of wire or a length of a conductor. So suppose this is a conductor and over which there is a distribution of positive charges as shown here. And let Q be the total charge, then let L be the length of this wire. Now if we know the length of the wire and the total charge Q, then we can find the density of the charges. Density of the charges means it is a ratio of the total charge to the total length of the wire, and the symbol is lambda. This is very similar to the density of matter that we normally discuss in physics. So this is the density of the charges distributed over a length of wire. So this linear charge density is defined as the charge per unit length. It is the total charge per total divided by total length, or charge per unit length. Its unit is coulomb per meter, because for the charge the unit is coulomb, divided by for the length the unit is meter. So the unit is coulomb per meter. Now suppose that dq is a small portion, or dq is a small charge of a small portion of length dl, such that L is the total length of the wire. Therefore the linear charge density in this case is given by lambda is equal to dq by dl, because it is the ratio of total charge by total length. So here you are considering a small length dl that contains a charge dq. Therefore charge to length ratio is dq by dl. Therefore the total charge can be found by taking the integration. That means first we cross multiply, that means dq is equal to lambda into dl. Therefore q will be what? Integral lambda dl. That is q is equal to integral lambda dl. So here the charges were distributed over a length of wire. That means the charge distribution was in one dimension. Similarly, the charges can be distributed over a surface or in a two-dimensional surface. In that case, what will be the charge density? So this is a two-dimensional surface and there is a uniform charge distribution over the surface. Now in this case, what will be the total charge per total surface area ratio? It is Q by S is equal to sigma, where sigma represents surface charge density. So it is a ratio of total charge per total surface area, Q by S. Then if you take a very small area, say ds, so this is a small surface area ds, and let dq be the charge in this small surface area. So as shown here, there is a small surface area ds similar to this, and the total surface area is S, and dq is a very small charge of the surface area ds. Then what is the value of sigma in this case? Sigma will be dq by ds. Therefore we can find the value for q by first cross multiplying, then take the integration. That is dq is equal to sigma ds, Therefore q is equal to integral sigma ds. That is sigma is equal to dq by ds, or q is equal to sigma ds integrate, surface integral. So once you integrate over the surface, you will get what the surface area of this plane. Now this kind of charge distribution is possible for a volume also. Then what will be the equation for volume charge distribution? So for volume charge, consider a volume, and you consider a small volume d tau, which is shown here in this color, and dq is the small charge contained in this small volume. Then what is the total charge to total volume ratio? It will be dq by d tau, and this is equal to rho, where rho represents the volume charge density. Now what is the value of q? To find dq, to find the value of q, first you cross multiply, that is rho into d tau. Rho into d tau is equal to dq. Then q will be obtained by taking the integration. That is q is equal to rho d tau. So the volume charge density is the charge per unit volume. So rho is equal to dq by d tau, that is charge per unit volume. So similarly we can define the surface charge density, which is the charge per unit area. In the case of volume charge density, the unit is coulomb per meter cube. For surface charge, it will be coulomb per meter square. Surface charge density is the charge per unit area, and the unit is coulomb per meter square. So now with this knowledge of charge distribution, we may discuss some of the important application of Gauss theorem. So as I already told, we can use Gauss theorem to find the electric field due to different shapes of conductors, like the electric field due to a current carrying conductor or of infinity length, the electric field due to a sheet of charge, electric field due to a volume of charge, etc. we can find using the Gauss theorem. So first we may find the electric field due to a point charge. Here this positive charge represents a point charge, and we want to find the field at the point P due to this point charge. And according to Gauss theorem, the total electric flux through a closed surface is 1 by epsilon 0, the total charge enclosed. That is the statement we know. So this require the construction of a closed surface to find the electric field. So Gauss theorem can be applied only if there is a closed surface. So if we want to find the electric field due to a point charge, first we should construct a closed surface around this point charge, so that the point P lies over the surface of this closed surface, and this surface is called a Gaussian surface. Now consider a small area over this closed surface. So if S is the total surface area of this Gaussian surface, ds represents a small surface area over this Gaussian surface. So I repeat, we need the construction of a Gaussian surface to find the electric field. Then from this positive charge, electric field lines will be coming out like this, right? These field lines will be normal to the surface area ds. So from the definition of electric flux, we know that phi is equal to E ds, or integral, closed integral E ds. So that is the definition of phi that we have already made. Then from the Gauss theorem, we know phi is equal to q by epsilon 0. That is 1 by epsilon 0 times the total charge enclosed. Here q represents the total charge enclosed. Therefore, total charge enclosed q into 1 by epsilon 0 is q by epsilon 0. Now we can compare these two equations. That is phi is equal to E dot ds can be compared with the phi is equal to q by epsilon 0. Therefore, we can write what? Closed integral E dot ds is equal to q by epsilon 0. Or this is equal to E into closed integral ds. And what is the meaning of closed integral ds? This means you are integrating this ds over a closed path. So this is the case of surface area. Therefore, closed integral ds will give the surface area of the sphere itself. That means you are adding ds, all the ds you are putting together, and once you put all the ds together, what you get is the total surface area of this sphere, which is 4 pi r square. Therefore, we can rewrite this equation as E into, in place of integral ds, you can write about 4 pi r square. So, E into 4 pi r square is equal to q by epsilon 0. Therefore, what is E? E is equal to 1 by 4 pi r square into q by epsilon 0, because 4 pi r square will be coming to the other side of the equation. Now, this can be rewritten as E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 into q by r square. So, this is the electric field due to a point charge at the point P, which is at a distance r from the charge q. So, this is a charge, this point charge is taken as q. So, this discussion shows that we can easily find the electric field due to a point charge by applying Gauss theorem. Now, we may find the electric field due to a shell. So, a shell means it is nothing but a hollow sphere. That means it is a sphere inside which there is nothing. So, this is the spherical shell or a hollow sphere, and we want to find the electric field due to this uniformly charged shell. So, positive charges are placed uniformly all over this shell. Then we want to find the electric field due to this shell at a point P, such that the point P is at a distance r from the center of the shell. Here small r represents the distance to the point P and capital R is the radius of this shell. Then to apply the Gauss theorem, we want to construct a Gaussian surface. So, for this spherical shell, we can construct a Gaussian surface which is also spherical, or you can imagine this shell is enclosed in a Gaussian sphere as shown here. So, now you can see that the shell is contained in a Gaussian surface or a Gaussian sphere of radius r, small r, such that ds is the small area of this Gaussian surface. Now, electric field lines or the flux will be coming normal, coming out of this shell, which is passing normal to this Gaussian surface. Now, from the Gauss theorem, you know the flux phi is equal to q by epsilon 0. Then there is one more definition for the electric flux, which is phi is equal to closed integral E dot ds. This equation we have already seen and discussed. Now, comparing the two equations, you can write closed integral E ds is equal to q by epsilon 0. But here you can integrate over the closed surface integral, which is E into closed surface integral ds is equal to q by epsilon 0. Then what is closed surface closed integral ds? So closed integral ds means you can imagine large number of ds put together over the surface, that is integration, and once you take the sum, or once you integrate all these ds, what you get is the surface area of this Gaussian surface. Therefore you can replace this closed integral ds with the 4 pi r square. So E into 4 pi r square is equal to q by epsilon 0, or E is equal to 1 by 4 pi r square into q by epsilon 0. Now you can rewrite this equation as E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 into q by r square. Here this r is the radius of this Gaussian surface. Now suppose we want to find the electric field on the surface of this Gaussian, on the surface of this shell. So this is the case where the field is outside this shell. So this is the shell we are considering, and we are going to find the field at the point P from the shell, right? Now what is the electric field over the surface of this shell? Now over the surface of this shell means what? In this case we have to imagine this Gaussian surface or just over this shell. That means what? That means the radius of the Gaussian surface will be equal to the radius of the shell. That means small r will be reduced to the capital R, which is the radius of the shell. Now you can rewrite this equation as closed integral E ds is equal to q by epsilon 0, but this closed integral ds will be what? The surface area of this shell, which is 4 pi r square. Therefore E into 4 pi r square is equal to q by epsilon 0, or E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 into q by r square, where this r, this capital R, is the radius of the shell. So the difference between these two equations is only in the radius. So outside the shell it is small r, which is the distance to the point P. On the surface of the shell it is the capital R, which is the radius of the shell itself. Now what will be the electric field inside this shell? So we have found electric field outside the shell, on the surface of the shell, and finally what is the field inside the shell? You know, inside the charge is 0, because all the charges are spread over the surface. So there is no charge inside the shell. Therefore this equation will become what? Closed integral E ds is equal to 0 by epsilon 0, that is E is equal to 0. In other words, inside the shell there is no electric field present. So inside the shell electric field is 0 means you are safe if you are sitting inside a metallic shell, and that is why we are safe inside a car during lightning and thunder, because this lightning cannot enter into the car, because inside this shell or inside this car there will not be any field present for the lightning to enter. So we will wind up this session here. Thank you for watching.